India losing the second ODI of the three-match series to South Africa came down a lot to the due factor. There had been talk about it in the first ODI, but India managed to do enough in that particular game to hang on and get the win, even though that match too was very close run. Unfortunately, the second ODI in Raipur saw them not being able to get those early breakthroughs that they managed so easily in the first ODI, and as such, they ended up suffering a defeat. In fact, so bad were the due conditions that stand-in skipper KL Rahul basically admitted that losing the match didn't feel like that much of a big deal, simply due to the fact that the due was so bad. Here's what he had to say after the match when being interviewed by the broadcasters. He said that this loss is not a tough pill to swallow considering due and how difficult it is to bowl in the second innings. The umpires were nice enough to change the ball, but the toss plays a huge part. In fact, KL went on to add that he was basically kicking himself for losing the toss, and that there were a lot of conversations in the dressing room about trying to get 25-30 runs over what was the par that they were expecting, because they knew that come the second innings, the due would not only make it tougher for them to bowl, but would also make it much easier for the opposition to bat. In fact, it was a view that was shared by the centurion of the day, not Virat Kohli, but in fact Ruturaj Gaikwad, who had a very interesting thing to say about what the due did basically to India's bowlers. Speaking in the press conference after the game, he told the media that the due in the second innings basically took the spinners out of the game. And well, this is a pretty big one, and truth be told, not one that's that surprising. We saw how it is that some of the spinners were struggling. Washington didn't bowl much. Jadeja didn't complete his quota of overs. Kuldeep did, but even Kuldeep was having to put in a lot of effort to ensure that he was actually able to get the ball in the right areas, and he too ended up missing his lines and lengths a few times. Normally, you could be critical, but the due factor really was bad. The one good thing that came out of this particular press conference, and one that I thought is worth highlighting, has nothing to do with the due factor though, and does have to do with the fact that the team management is backing Ruturaj throughout the ODI series. He himself confirmed it. He said that I'm privileged to have the assurance from the team management that they would be backing me at number 4 throughout the ODI series. So there were a lot of people predicting that he might get dropped for the second game, maybe the third game. Well, it doesn't seem to be the case unless the team management has a real change of heart. And truth be told, why would they, given he's just hit a century? The idea always, it seemed, was to back him throughout this particular series and ensure that he managed to get enough time to show that he deserved the position and he deserved to be part of the playing 11. That was, of course, the one major big positive talking point, knowing that Ritu is potentially getting this third ODI and could also very well be playing, don't forget, the upcoming series, which is of course in January against New Zealand, which will also be at home, considering seems unlikely Shreyas will be fit by then. It was the only good thing. As I said, there was a lot of talk about due, and KL basically said the loss doesn't matter that much because the due was so bad. What were your thoughts on the due factor, and what would you do if you were in part to actually ensure that the due didn't play that much of a role in determining the match's results? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X and Facebook, and stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.